The latest in a series of beleaguered Carnival cruises made its way back to port early Sunday, capping a harrowing week for passengers aboard several troubled ships. The Carnival Legend arrived in Tampa, Florida, hours ahead of schedule Sunday morning after propulsion system problems hampered its sailing speed. The company had to nix a scheduled stop on Grand Cayman because of the technical difficulty. But Carnival Cruise Line said the Legend is still scheduled to head out for its next voyage on time Sunday afternoon while technicians continue working on the repairs. The ship is expected to operate its normal itinerary with the exception of one port, Grand Cayman, which is being replaced by Costa Maya, Carnival said in a statement. Any guests wishing not to proceed based on the change to one port of call have been given the option of canceling and receiving a full refund. The company stressed that all safety systems, steering and hotel services were functioning normally. But dismayed vacationers from the Legend's last voyage vented their frustration. Passengers are now really pissed off, passenger Robin Infant said via email before the ship's arrival. Mood on the ship is getting worse among passengers, captain is giving limited information. Carnival Dream, stuck in the Caribbean. The Legend's malfunction is the latest in a growing list of woes for the travel company. In the past month, 3 other Carnival cruise ships have reported problems. The Carnival Dream lost power and some toilets stopped working temporarily last week, and for a while no one was allowed to get off the vessel docked at Phillipsburg Street, Martin, in the Eastern Caribbean. Greg Stark, who was traveling with his wife and 2 young children on the Dream, said conditions on the ship were deplorable. There's human waste all over the floor in some of the bathrooms and they're overflowing, and in the staterooms, he said last week. The elevators have not been working. Another passenger, Jonathan Evans, said passengers were kept on the ship despite the fact that we have no way to use the restrooms on board. But Carnival told CNN that based on conversations with the ship's management, a look at service logs and extensive physical monitoring of all public areas, including restrooms, throughout the night, we can confirm that only one public restroom was taken offline for cleaning based on toilet overflow, and there was a total of 1 request for cleaning of a guest cabin bathroom. Carnival said the ship's emergency diesel generator failed but disputed notions of a widespread system failure. The ship's power plant, propulsion and hotel systems are fully operational. Aside from some periodic interruptions to restroom and elevator service for a few hours Tuesday night, at no time have any of the ship's systems and services not been functional, Carnival said in its statement. The company said it was flying the more than 4,000 passengers and will give them discounts. By late Saturday, most of the passengers had left St. Martin by air. Once all passengers leave the ship, the Dream's crew will sail back to Port Canaveral on Sunday, the company said. The ship's next voyage has been cancelled. Passenger David Howard said he thought conditions were fine aboard the Dream, but said he was frustrated with how his family and other passengers were treated and by the lack of communication. Howard said he and his family weren't told until 1:45 a.m. Friday they had to get off the ship by 7:30 a.m., so they had to rush to pack in the middle of the night. A message from the Captain Dream passengers received a letter from the captain, according to a passenger who emailed a photo of the correspondence to CNN. Captain Massimo Moreno told passengers they would be booked on flights to Orlando or another destination. Passengers with cars at Port Canaveral would be bused from Orlando to the facility about an hour away. We sincerely apologize for the disappointment this unexpected change has caused and regret we were unable to provide you with the fun and memorable cruise vacation we had in store for you, he wrote. The letter also offers passengers a 3-day refund and half-price cruise in the future. Crisis communication expert Tom Donahue said Carnival may be making the right operational decisions, but the frequency and effectiveness of communications to passengers, who have no other information source, are what influences the passenger's perspective. Carnival Elation. Just like the Carnival Legend, the Carnival Elation suffered problems with its azopod, the crucial part for steering and propelling the vessel. The tugboat trailing the ship as it travels on the Mississippi River is purely a precautionary measure, the company said. Memories of the defeated Triumph in the most publicized case. An engine room fire last month left the Carnival Triumph crippled and adrift in the Gulf of Mexico with more than 4,200 people aboard. That scheduled 4-day cruise stretched into 8 days as tugs pulled the vessel into port in Alabama. Food was scarce. Passengers sweltered in the heat with no air conditioning, and overflowing toilets and human waste ran down the walls in some parts of the ship, passengers reported. A class action lawsuit against Carnival Corporation followed. The Triumph is still being repaired at a shipyard in Mobile, Alabama, Carnival spokeswoman Joyce Silva said. Last week, Carnival announced it was conducting a comprehensive review of all 23 of its ships after the fire that crippled Triumph. Carnival President and CEO Gary Cahill said the investigation will focus on the prevention, detection and suppression of fires, engine room redundancies and what additional hotel facilities might be provided and might run off the emergency generators. We are now focused on the lessons we can learn from the incident and also what additional operational redundancies might be available, Cahill said last week. Another ship, the Carnival Splendor, had a fire in 2010 due to a catastrophic failure of a diesel generator, he said. Not doomed despite all the recent problems, Donahue doesn't see any long-term negative effects for Carnival or its competitors. I don't necessarily see last week's events, or even combined with the Triumph event, as casting a pall on the cruise industry, he said, noting that several colleagues and friends who have recently gone on cruises, including on Carnival, enjoy their vacations. People generally accept that complex pieces of equipment can encounter challenges. That's not the hurdle. I don't think anybody considering the cruise would be unforgiving of an unforeseen event, because those types of events occur with complex systems. People are far less forgiving when communications around the events seem to be lacking,